is into DWC, Dutch bucket, and Newton film technique systems, and even in to some extent in grow beds. So this is a typical indoor setup. You can see a Swiss chard growing here. So this is a indoor farm which we had set up for a client, and this is the produce that they were getting. So these are like romaine, celery, kale, lolo green, or known as lolo boinda. So it's a very phenomenal crop that you get in indoor because of far more better control in terms of climate. We also provide lot of smaller solutions, like in the center what we can see is a typical small compact DWC system which target audience is mostly for people who are into urban areas who have very limited space. It's a versatile system. You can grow almost all leafy herbs and also crops like tomato, brinjal, and even chilies and peppers. So it's a versatile thing. I have grown almost all 15, 20, even cucumbers and gourds are grown in this system. So a very easy to use for, especially for early starters. This is the best thing to start with. To the right is a Dutch bucket where you can see a tomato plant growing, a healthy tomato plant. Such kind of system are fitted in many of our homes, and we were able to get a pretty good amount of tomato yield for a home use. You can see here a cucumber, and to the top again is an indoor where we are growing herbs like Italian basil. So, like we do small scale, we also help people who are into large scale kind of a setup. The typical outdoor farming like this, we assist them in terms of farm management services, and there our consulting will help you to maximize your yield. Okay, so this is where we provide the complete consulting services. So we have such kind of compact DWC product to offer. This is for people who are completely new and starters. So it starts with 4 to 10 plant, and it pretty much compact fits into your home gallery or even your box grill windows. Even in open terrace, you can keep them. They are pretty sturdy kind of a product. Then we also provide with Dutch bucket. These are for smaller setups. Then NFT systems, these are again, we can start with 15 to 200. We also can provide customized NFT solution. So in even for commercial domain, if you are looking out for NFT, that also can be managed. Then indoor system, we can also provide you in different configurations. So these are few of the standard products to offer, but along with it, there are a lot of customized solution that can be done. So let us first, get into the very basic introduction to hydroponics. That what do you mean by hydroponics? Anchal, can you mute? I think so. There is someone who is unmuted.
Sure, sir.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you, thank you. So, in short, if you look at the subset below, it is an offset of horticulture. There is no difference in the horticulture that we do in soil. It's derived from a very simple Greek word. If you break hydro into two parts, hydro we all know means water, ponos means labor. So what we are doing is we are using water as a medium to give to to provide nutrition to the plant. This simple animation explains what is the meaning of hydroponics. So here is a typical plant with a very well developed root system, and the media that we use here is not a soil but some substitute to soil. So we will explain what are those substitutes. Below is the water. Now this water is what the whole hydroponics heart is. This is where the nutrients are. This is where your growth is, where the plant growth is ascertained. And the most important aspect in hydroponic is oxygen. Even in soil, your root needs oxygen because oxygen what keeps your roots healthy. In hydroponic, since there is no soil and aeration to the water is far more easier compared to soil, what happens is your plant's root they grow very dense, and because of a very dense and healthy root, your plant grow also very fast compared to soil, and you get a better yield also. So then what are the soilless media? So there are few soilless medias which are available, which are standardly used in a lot of home and commercial application, that is vermiculite, green perlite. So these are all natural minerals. They are almost pH neutral, and they are sterile in nature. That is the most important aspect. Then the most commercially used media that are used in hydrophonic systems in Dutch bucket or NFT or even in grow bed system is coco peat. So basically it's a husk of your coconut waste, and it is available in loose format, in a block format, or even in plugs like this. So these plugs are very much useful, and they can be used in both your as a starter plug or directly as a media for your NFT system. So your seed germination to growth, everything happens in these plugs. Your roots come out from this filament. It's a small non-woven cloth that is around this coco pit. So this whole plug can be installed straight away into the system. Second and most important, subsystem or a substitute for soil in hydroponic is an expanded clay. Rather in NFT, if people are not using expanded clay below their any media, so if you are using Oasis cube or coco disc, always put at least one or two expanded clay. The reason is uh, expanded clay is nothing but your clay. They create small balls of clay, and they force them into some furnaces where it pops up like a popcorn. So if you dissect this expanded clay, what you will find is a very porous material. They are just like our earthen pots. So just like our earthen pots which keep your water cold during the summers, expanded clay does the same work. Actually, they help in retention of small amount of water. Secondly, they actually keep your root zone area cooler than your ambient temperature. Thirdly, since we do not have soil, your plant need anchorage support.
हमको
So
देखने हमारे देखने में नहीं आता, ये देख देख के कर करके जा रहे हैं। हाँ, कौन सा भैया
so
सारा बोल।
expanded clay acts like a support also. So there are a lot of advantage. Also, it helps in maintaining some amount of pH imbalance in the system. So expanded clay is a very good kind of a substitute in hydroponic. OSS cubes are manufactured cubes, so they are available in a slab format like this. Sir, can you please mute yourself?
Please, everybody mute yourself
हाँ,
because we create
करो।
confusion.
हाँ भाई दे दो एक बटेली चाय पत्ती का देखो
ले बाग बकरी पीस वाली।
बटेली ये
ये
वाली
कड़क चाय पत्ती है, बटेली तो पावर की है।
पावर की ये क्या अच्छी लगती है यार भैया
बटेली है, फिर वो है क्या बोलते हैं अपनी टाटा अग्नि।
कहाँ की चाहता है तो बटेली देखी हो
यही वाली
ये कितने की है जी
20 रुपए 100
ये
ग्राम।
अच्छी लगेगी चाय
अच्छी लगेगी, कड़क चाय है वो।
हमारे यहाँ तो अच्छी लगती है क्या फूल पत्ती दे दो फूल वाली और
Sir, then you can continue now. I'm sorry, I muted everybody.
So I think it has been muted now. Thank you. So OSS cube and coconut disk, the job they done is same. Okay, they do are useful in the germination part of the seed. So your seeds actually germinate and they can be transferred to the system straight away. Somehow, as per my experience, I have found coco pit disc to be a far more better and superior compared to OSs, as they tend to dry out much faster and
Sir, your audible is not. Can you just unmute yourself, please?
can you hear now?
Yes, yes, we can hear. You can continue.
Sorry. So, so OSS Cube are just like, Coco Pit discs. They are available in slabs like this. So they are available in different shapes also nowadays. These are manufactured, and you actually can do the seed germination in this. You can also use them directly in the system. The biggest disadvantage OSS Cube against Coco Pit is that they tend to dry much faster, and during a power outage, if your system is not getting the water, they don't retain water that fast, and the probability of your plant drying or dying is quite high. So this is only one issue when it comes to OSS cube. Coco pit is anyways a universal kind of a substitute for your soil. So then how actually hydroponic really works? So if you look at this small image representative, we have a tomato plant, and this is media. So media can be coco peat. It can be a combination of coco peat and expanded clay, or you can have expanded clay and perlite or vermiculite. So based on any available material in your regional areas, you can select them. You germinate your seed here in this artificial soil. Then these roots which comes out, they are always submerged in the water. So please understand, in hydroponic your roots are always submerged in the water. But then there is one question is, then how do those plants survive? Why don't the roots get rot? So the best way, the reason they don't rot is because of very good oxygen in the water. Now, how do we give that oxygen is something we will understand in the types of hydroponics. But this is a very good way to understand that it has a small container which is has a sterile material. So there is no soil, there is no possibility of any weeds growing in your system. So no weedicides are ever used in hydroponics. Very less pest comes into action. Some amount of fungal growth can happen, but that can also be managed through some herbal fungicide. So herbal growth can happen if you are not maintaining a good hygiene and you are allowing too much algae formation in the system. So that is one issue. Nutrient are always water soluble, and we use a very small quantity. So and completely controllable compared to soil. You can have a far more better control on how much amount of nutrient based on your plant growth stage you can decide. And then comes the most important aspect, the pH level. So why pH level is important? So if you look at this small table to the right, it shows a small scale. That scale shows how a different pH and what comes under such pH levels. So if you see 7 is neutral. So if you are staying in urban cities where you are getting, centralized filtered water, somewhat which we get around Mumbai region or in your major metros, normally these waters are slightly in the range of 7 to 7.5. Okay, but if you're having a borewell water or groundwater something, it can go from about this. So it can be around 9 to 10 or maybe more if it has got more amount of minerals in it. To the left is the acidic nature, and in that if you see at number 2 comes lemon juice. So if you take a litmus test of your lemon, you will get the color which represents the scale of 2 in your pH meter. So for horticulture or for your plant, we need acidic environment. Even in soil, we need acidic environment. So the ideal range for all horticulture plant, major horticulture plant, is between 5 to 7, max 7. The most ideal range we maintain is between 5.5 to 6.5. Why this is important? Because if this range is not maintained and you drift too much to at the alkalic side or too much at the acidic side, your plant capacity to absorb nutrient reduces. So then your roots are not able to perform that better. And then comes the most important and most unique method of hydroponic, and that is you can measure the nutrient of the water. Okay, so here what you can do is in soil you give it to drip, and you send the nutrient through your drip or through the water or through spraying, but you do not know how much of it is reaching to the roots. So there these such kind of TDS or EC meter come into picture. They will measure the total amount of dissolved nutrient in the water. Now there are different measurement standards. Most commonly used is TDS, total dissolved solid, which is measured in ppm, parts per million. And then there is the electrical conductivity. So it is nothing but a measurement standard. They are like meters and centimeters and decameters of your water quality standards. So this is just a way to measure. So I can explain through this table how TDS and EC, figures out. So if you are growing something like capsicum, in the same range, we're talking about eggplants. Eggplant and tomatoes are like from the same family. So ideal range should be in this range. And this is the full growth range of your nutrient in the water. So how we reach to this is something we will explain deeply in master class. So there is one of our attendee has said that they are not getting the yield out of. So this is where the whole game plays. This is how you have to manage. So how to manage this reading or how to manage this nutrient part is the skill that needs to be introduced. EC means electrical conductivity, is nothing but a measurement standard of the nutrient in the water. So I will give a simple example. Suppose you take a small, a glass, you take water and you add salt in that water. Okay, and you keep on adding salt in that water. This is a small experiment we are done in school. At one point, it saturates and the salt never dissolves. This EC or TDS will give you the reading that how much amount of salt is there in your water. To simplify things, suppose you are using a borewell water, which is also known as hard water. So this EC and TDS will tell you whether your water is hard water or whether it is a soft water. So this is nothing but some way of calculating whether your water is hard or soft. So most important here is, if you classify hydroponics, there are two major classification in hydroponic. One is a circulation type where the same nutrient water is recirculated multiple times till the plants absorbs it, till it is evaporated, and then we add in new water, new nutrient. Second method is we don't circulate the water. We keep the water stagnant, but we add oxygen in that or we add air into that. That is known as forced aeration. So typical DWC system, this is a DWC system. Here water is stored in container like this, and we pump in lot of air from an air pump. So here it is just like, if you simplify this to an aquarium tank, it is similar to an aquarium tank. Only here there are no fish but only roots. You can see a dense network of roots which are growing inside this nutrient water. And this is a zucchini plant. And because we pump in very high volume of oxygen into this water, you can see the roots are very healthy. Okay, and this is something which differentiates DW. DW is also considered as the most basic hydroponic system. It's a base of hydroponics. Only issue here is that the water should be aerated all the time. You have to ensure the aeration. If you are not aerating it properly, what will happen is that there will be a rise in temperature. With rise in temperature, there will rise in pathogens, and eventually it will rot. So that is one issue with DWC in case if your air pump fails. Now the most widely used technique for growing leafy and herbs in hydroponics in India for both commercial commercial and home application is NFT. So here we have a central reservoir, as you can see with the animation here. There is a pump which will draw the water out from the reservoir. It goes to the inlet area. From the inlet, we maintain a small slope. This water will automatically come by gravity, and the drainage is near the tanks where the reservoir is. Okay, so if you understand this, the aeration here happens because of the flowing water. And as the name implies, nutrient film technique means we maintain a small flame. Okay, the small flame of water with nutrient. Ideally, extremely efficient system for your leafy and herbs. But I have also grown crops like cucumber. They grow pretty well. Only thing is your channel should be a very good deep channel. So an 100 by 80 Nft rectangular channel, a double layered one, will do the job here because it gives a far more bigger root area for the plants. So highly customizable. You can do it as per your area. You can go multi-level in this. So the next image I can show it here is, this is a typical indoor multi-level. So here is a reservoir tank. This is the NFT multi-level. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. Then again in outdoor also there are A-frame systems which is multi-level. The reason we maintain A-frame is because all these pipes should be exposed to sunlight. There should not be a shadowing effect. So likewise, we do not do system like this because here we have grow lights. So here, to get more light, we have to space them apart. And the most easy to maintain and easy to use NFT system is such kind of flatbed. So here we grow in a horizontal axis. We grow as densely as this A-frame. So there is no difference between an A-frame growth and flatbed. We grow in that same area about the same volume. This is a small video which shows a indoor system. So this is the reservoir. These are the NFT system. This is the drainage line. The water is draining out from here. This is the Nft pipes. These are very early sapling that were shifted. And this small pipe over here, you can see this is the inlet water. So the water is coming from the inlet. Typically, this is a flatbed system. So this has been installed at one of our client terrace. So for, as some people have mentioned, they're looking for an home application and we have a big terrace. So a similar terrace can be used to grow NFT, especially in those buildings, if you are living in a high rise and there are restrictions of watering and you cannot water plants and all that, such kind of system are pretty much useful because water never falls out. You store water in the reservoir, then these inlet pipes will bring in the nutrient water. As you can see, as this water flows around, it creates this film of water, and this is where the source of aeration is. The most versatile kind of a system, that is a Dutch bucket system. So this is something you can use it to grow almost any crop. So here we predominantly use only clay pellets. The germination can be done in a cocoa pit plug, oasis club, or even in your germination trays, and the plant can be then shifted to the Dutch bucket system. So a versatile product. This is also a recirculating type. There is a central reservoir, water will come. This is the inlet line. We use drippers here. The dripper will add the nutrient water to this hydrotron. The water drains down. Then there is a siphon below which draws the whole water back to the reservoir. So drip emitter clogging is somewhat found in this, but it is can be managed easily if you are cleaning the system very regularly. The formation of algae here is very bare minimum compared to NFT. So if you are not closing the NFT channel properly, you are exposing it more to the sunlight or to the light, algae formation happens very fast in NFT, whereas in Dutch bucket, this problem is not that worse. This is a typical grow bed system. So this image shows a non-circulating type where we are using drip line to feed the water, nutrient water directly into grow beds. Such kind of system system can be made into a circulating type by elevating these whole grow bags above the ground. Ideally, if you see, there's one flaw in this farm is the ground, the whole system is exposed to an open soil. So don't do that if you're doing something like this. Try to cover your ground with some tarpaulin or some plastic sheet. The why it helps is it helps in eliminating the soil based, you know, problems which are like bacteria or fungus or even some viral infection passing to the system. So by eliminating soil completely, we tend to, you know, save a crop much better. Along with it, there are several systems. So one is an aquaponics where we use fish water as which is the fish wastewater is the food for the plant. In aeroponics, we do fogging. So very small mist of nutrient water is directly given to the roots of the plants. Ebb and flow, we do some in between flooding and draining, which helps in providing the nutrient to the pots, bigger pots, and then the tower systems. So this all systems, there are few other systems that you can incorporate. So even in aquaponics, basically you can use NFT also. You can use Dutch bucket also. You can use the grow bed system also. So aquaponics, you have a central reservoir where the fish are bred, and that water can then be distributed to different method. So in our master class, we actually deep down understand these systems, what are their advantages, what are the limitations, and which crop is best suitable for which kind of a system. So we explain very deeply there. Most important is your nutrient management. This is where the whole ball game changes. Majoritarily, we need six major nutrient. Okay, it is nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, and especially for people who are into fruiting, your phosphorus potassium level should be in par. Rather, you should also focus on magnesium and calcium because that are also helps a lot in maintaining a very good fruiting and flowering and yield of the plant. Along with it, we also need some other micronutrients. So macronutrients are like your main food. Like in your typical Indian thali, we have got the vegetable, we have the chapati, we have the rice. Okay, so these are like the macronutrients of the plant. So these are major components which we eat in our food. Whereas we always have some chutney or some pickle or some salads along with it, or we do have some drinks or maybe some sweets with our food. So that is the secondary part of a thali, which are the micronutrients. So along with the food, we also need those kind of side dishes where you get other nutritions also. So iron, boron, molybdenum, cobalt are extremely also important. So all this, so your selection of your nutrient is very much vital in hydroponic. And in master class, basically we ponder deeply on this issue that many people say that we are not getting yield is maybe there are several factors, but the direct factor that come into picture is can be your nutrient is not that efficient. So, just like humans, plants show deficiency. So, if you are having fever, that means there is some inflammation or some infection in your body, or you have soreness in your eyes, or you have a swollen leg. That means either you have hurt yourself somewhere. So, similarly, even plants show symptoms. So, if you don't feed proper potassium, typically you can see such kind of yellowing at the tips of the edges of the of your plant leaves. You can see flower drops also. So flower drop can be because of lack of pollination also or due to potassium. So there are two factors that come into picture. Why I am for enforcing that calcium should be included in the diet of an hydroponic is because of this. If you don't feed calcium properly, your leaves will be like this. They will be curled in nature. They will be shaped, and then they are not so efficient in generating food for the plant. So this is a typical chili plant leaf which I see is into a shunted growth. A typical nitrogen deficiency leaf is something like this. You will see suddenly lot of leaves are turning yellow, they are wilted, they are not having that amount of, that healthy look. That can be a reason for nitrogen deficiency. And the most common thing in growing is the chlorosis issue. So there are a lot of factors that come into chlorosis. Why pH is important is because of this. If your pH is very higher, it's alkalic side, your roots are not performing better, because of which they are not able to fetch the nutrient, and you can see such kind of veiny kind of a leaf. Then your roots can also get damaged by some reason. Nutrient toxicity. This is something which we really understand in hydroponic masterclass about uh, how to manage nutrient. How is that we should not go for too much amount of dose. And magnesium nitrogen deficiency can also cause chlorosis. Most important, iron deficiency. So if your pH is not in check, immediately your plant intake capacity of iron is also affected very largely. So that's why pH is also very much important. So there are some myths and facts. Let's understand them briefly. That is hydroponic an unnatural way of growing? This is a common question many have. It's completely natural in nature. Only thing is the method is different. There is no difference per se in growing. It is just the plant don't differentiate, elements. For them, they need nitrogen, potassium, phosphorus, calcium. So either you fed them through an synthetic fertilizer, you fed them through an organic mode, or you fed them to hydroponics. For them, they need, nutrients. So completely natural. We are not doing anything unnatural. Rather, the second point, whether it affects the environment, rather no, because it tends to save a lot of water. I've seen that we have saved almost 70-80% water compared to conventional kind of a soil gardening or soil farming. So if you are in a belt where water is scarce, and there is something which you have to have an issue about, or your soil is infertile, I think so hydroponics really can help you a lot in that manner. So it's not, rather, what happens is in circulating system, your whole nutrient water is used up by the plant or either is evaporated. So we never dump that nutrient water in your local water bodies or your nalas. So we don't even affect our rivers, lakes, and our groundwater. Can hydroponic grow plants grow without light? It's completely not possible. See, light is something, is the energy source for a plant to generate food. So whatever proteins, vitamins, carbohydrates that are generated due to the chemical reaction during the photosynthesis process, light is the main catalyst. So you need, the nutrient and the light to react and create that kind of a food for the plants. So light can be substituted. So we can substitute sunlight with a grow light, but light is important. So do hydroponic vegetables are tasteless? Rather, no. We have seen clients' feedback on the vegetable taste, the kind of a freshness, the kind of aroma that it gives, the kind of, it's a bit completely different offset experience of consuming. Even an hydrophonically grown spinach will give you a very unique experience. So it is phenomenal basically. So I don't think that there is any taste difference whether you are growing them in soil or organically or hydroponic. Taste do not change that as such. It totally depend upon the seed variety, the quality of your seed, how it is. So your seed plays a role here compared to the hydroponic part. Hydroponic technique is expensive is partially true. I don't agree that it is very expensive. I look at in a different perspective. It's a one-time investment which you have to do. It's a typically you do an investment in a workshop or a factory where you have to lead in some equipment in that place to manufacture. Hydroponic is like a automated farming system You can automate major things right from nutrient dosing to your temperature control to your pump operations. So there are a lot of things that can be automated, so you can reduce your labor. Secondly, compared to soil, you do not need a skilled manpower, because in soil you have to do several processes of ploughing and soil preparation of the soil. So in hydroponic, since there is no soil, we do not have to do much preparation as such. You just have to simply replace that plant and add the new plant and adjust the nutrient. So compared to soil, in hydroponic, switchover of crop is very fast. So based on your demand, as you can foresee that in next 2 months you are expecting an order of certain crop, okay, 2 to 3 months. So based on what kind of crop, I'm talking about leafy crops here. So you can tweak very fast. You can change over very fast. So that is one thing very important. In masterclass also I explain about how to plan about about such kind of contingencies for your farm. So let's go for a small quiz here. So I have mentioned the word TDS in the last the pH and the nutrient management section. So you can write it in the chat part that what is the calculation, a unit that is used in TDS, whether it is parts per 100 or parts per million. Okay, Dr. Shushma Kumari says ppm. Okay, great. So the answer is pretty much correct. Sorry, I haven't read the chat before. Arpan says the key area is to maintain pH level for good growth. Arpan, you are very much correct, but not just the pH. See, there are several factors. Okay, humidity, your CO2 level, your pH, your EC or the TDS of the system, then your water temperature, your ambient temperature. So it is not just pH. When you grow, 5 to 6 key areas are need to be maintained and monitored. So there are a lot of factors that come into picture. Leafy crops grow best. Fruit need much. Yes, they will slightly need higher nutrition compared to leafy, because
Hel-
leafy just need foliar base.
Hello.
So let's go to the next quiz. Sir, we will talk about your queries once we are done with this. Okay, we will address that, because I'm not able to see the attendees since I'm presenting to all. Okay, now the next question is, which system allows water to be sprayed in a form of a mist? Great. So Neha Singh mentions as aeroponics. Very much nice. It's a very unique way of growing. NASA and all that, they are trying this method for space travel, since water moves around in space like small balls of liquid. Aeroponics is somewhat considered as a method of feeding or growing in a spacecraft. So it's a very good method. You can grow even crops like beetroot and carrot in aeroponics. So thank you for the answer. Yes, the answer is aeroponics. Now I have mentioned about the algae part. So how many of you think that if light enters, what kind of problem that can be formed inside your water or in your system? So whichever system you are using. So what will happen if sunlight enters into your system? Three, Nirav mentions as nutrient will react. Okay. Neha Singh mentions as algae. Sagar Chandra says algae. Sushma Kumari says nutrient will react with sunlight. Okay, so let's see what the answer is. So algae, yes, algae will form. The reason algae forms is the biggest because it's a very good environment for the algae to grow, uh, lot of oxygen, flowing water, too much aeration, nutrient rich water. So algae will form if you are not careful enough to overexposing your hydroponic system to sunlight. Even your roots don't like sunlight actually. So try to avoid those sunlight part entering into your system, especially in an NFT system. It may increase the water. You can grow turmeric. For saffron, I will say that it's a very uh, tricky to say. Extremely capital investment is really very high, and you will need very skilled person here because saffron growing is a very you can say unique way of farming. But and again, you do not get yield year on year, so there is a big gestation period for saffron. As someone said that nutrient will react and create substrate. Usually, this substrate don't happen because their exposure to sunlight. This substrate normally forms if you try to mix nutrient in a wrong combination. So that is something we really explained in the master class, that what is the right combination and how to add the nutrient into the system. So can we grow tomatoes using NFT film system? So can we use those NFT pipes for growing tomatoes? Okay, Jugashri mentions as yes. Okay, yes. Arpan 2 agrees to the point.
हेलो
Neha Singh says no. Yes, sir.
सर एनएफटी में पॉसिबल है नहीं सर.
Uh, okay, let's give you answer. Maybe. Sir, मैंने उगाया है NFT में tomatoes. I have grown cherry tomatoes in NFT.
सर
So
अच्छा
it is not about.
मैंने
हाँ.
सीजन टैप सर मैंने सीजन टैप 62-42 ग्रो किए थे
हम्म.
डच बकेट के अंदर.
हम्म.
100 प्लांट ग्रो किए थे
हम्म.
और सक्सेसफुली ग्रो भी हुआ था. ऐसा नहीं कि सक्सेसफुली नहीं है,
हम्म.
लेकिन सर एक इश्यू आ रहा है, तो हमें उसमें से प्रोडक्शन नहीं मिल रहा है.
हम्म. Sir, let us just close this. Then I think so we can talk about that.
नो
Okay,
इश्यू
so
सर.
yeah, we can talk about it. So we can do it. It's not that. Yeah, there is a limitation with tomatoes growing in, in NFTs. हमारे कम root area रहता है. We have very limited root area in NFT. So you may not get an optimum yield for tomatoes. So ideal system for tomatoes is a Dutch bucket or a grow bed system where you have bigger root area for the plants to manage. Then since we are short in time, we will go fast with the we will go to the last quiz, which is a very interesting quiz here. And I would like you to let me know, out of these two flowers, which of it is a male and which of it is a female flower. Okay, Dr. Shuksha Kumari mentions left is the male. Okay, Jugashri 2 mentions as left. Yes, you can export hydroponic vegetables, but it is subject to that country's rules and regulations. So you will have to get your produce lab tested. Very much right. The answer is your typical male female will be like a normal flower, whereas a female flower will always have a fruit like structure or commonly known as ovary there. So through the pollination method, basically bees or some external media or hand pollination can do the work here. So thank you very much. I guess the presentation is over.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. Your presentation was nice. I hope everybody understood everything, right? So, can I speak now, sir? Do you have anything to still talk about?
You can do your upsell, then in the end I can have a chat with few of our attendees.
Okay, sure.
Yeah.
So, first thing, I want to know who all are who all are very excited about this. What all things you learned today? So how was the class today? May I know in the chat box how was